We have several questions that are asking about Project Lead the Way.
Okay.
8th grade students who are currently exposed to Project Lead the Way, how will we supply computers and power tools and all of the necessary equipment? All of that has been taken into consideration as the recommendation was made, what we would need to put those programs at our high schools. How do we decide which schools get what courses? And do you think that schools with certain classes have those because students specifically want those classes? Going back to what we've looked at, we're looking at student interest. We're also going to be working with campus principals and current teachers to make sure that we have teachers that are equipped and knowledgeable in those areas to offer them. And yes, we do take student interests in mind when we choose the specific classes. When will we start offering the proposed courses? We are very interested in adding arts and AV at Clements High School. The proposed pathways that you see out there are proposed for us to begin these additions next year, provided that the staffing proposals go through. Do we have enough resources to offer these pathways in the high schools? I think that's a great question. That is the financial resource that we talked about. The reason that we cannot offer every single pathway is because we are taking into consideration doing this fiscally responsibly. So we will offer as many pathways as we can by making financial decisions that are in the best interest of the district. When children have to go to the new CTE Center for Petroleum Engineering or Robotics, these courses are potentially very specialized in equipment, and again, back to the financial decision. If those courses are only offered at a career technical center, then yes, a student would need to go to that CTE center. They would not become a permanent student at the CTE center. They would spend a portion of their day there and then transfer back to their home community. Thank you.
I'm Amita Garcia, and I am the Executive Director for Federal and Special Programs and College and Career Readiness Laws in the division. I'll start with this question. It says Academy is like magnet in HISD. If you're not able to plan for a single school for one magnet, how do you justify advanced courses in all schools? Have done a lot of data gathering on advanced placement and pre-AP. That's within our department. And I can tell you that we're doing a great job with that. I came to the district 2 years ago, and 12,400 students sat for AP courses 2 years ago. That has gone up by 6,000. Okay? It's 18,000. What hasn't gone up is that 2 years ago, of those 12,000 students, 60% of them took the course and took the test. The percentage who took the AP exam has gone down to 40%. That concerns us. So we're not concerned about offering the courses. We have plenty of resources for that, and College Board supports us tremendously in that effort, and so does Rice University. What we're concerned about is the number of students who sit in the class but never take the exam, and that's what we're going to start working on. Thank you. Next one is, how does your team equate in-depth learning with 4 pathway courses out of 32 courses a student will take in high school? Let me start by saying that our present 9th graders are on the new House Bill 5 plan. I'm not going to talk about the minimum foundation, that only requires 20 credits. I'm going to talk about what most of you are here about and what we want every one of our students to strive for, and those are the 2 plans that require 26 credits. On each of those 2 plans, whether it's the foundation with endorsements or the high achievement one, they both require 26 credits. Of those 26 credits in those 2, only 6 credits are electives, okay? So that means, I'm going to give you an example. If I am a student who likes band, band is not in there except for 1 credit of fine arts. So if I want to take band all 4 years, I take 3 away from the 6, and that leaves me 3 credits that I can take to meet the 26 credit requirement. If I am a student who likes languages, and you heard a lot about languages, and that's another area that we really need to address. I'll mention that in a minute. But if I'm a student, most colleges say if you have at least 3 years of the same foreign language, it will not become part of your degree plan in college. UT has told us that, A&M has told us that, so we're keeping up with what the requirements are. So if a student takes 4 years of a foreign language, that brings that student down to 2 electives. Yes, students can take 7 times 4, which is 28 credits. And if you're talking about 32, I'm assuming you must go to Hightower, because that's the only school where we have a block schedule where students can take 32 credits. But for the most part, it's 7 times 4. Yes, students also can go to summer school, or they can take some courses online to get more credits. But we are looking at what is required for us to put that in a frame of reference for you. In terms of foreign languages, yes, we know Clemens has done a tremendous job with their global studies and their global languages. However, we're behind the times. Everywhere you read, and go off tonight, and I want you to Google critical languages, and you will see that even my own language, Spanish, and I'm an immigrant as well, is considered important in Texas. But the critical languages are, as Dr. Whitbeck said, Chinese, Korean, Hindi, Arabic. Those are the ones that are going to get our kids hired. Those are the ones that are opening up in the big markets. So why would we want to reduce that offering at one single place? We need to open up all critical languages at all campuses and encourage more students to stretch themselves and take those languages. So that, I hope, addresses the credit issue as well as the elective issue. It says, Dulles High School Math and Science Academy is a successful story. Why do you close the Math and Science Academy? Because that successful story can be replicated in all 11 campuses. I'm a former high school graduate. And if you don't hear your answer, you don't have to yell, but let me explain to you. We must offer as many math and science classes as we can across the district, okay? A lot of the courses that are offered at Dulles High School are beyond calculus in math. Unless we begin to make some partnerships with four-year institutions, which has not been done today. It's only with 2-year institutions. The kids who are taking courses above Calculus BC are not getting dual credit, and there's no AP exam for them to get the credit. I know that you don't know me, but let me tell you that I'm in this business because I love what I do. I love equity and access. I am an immigrant, and I have 44 years in education. So I have a lot of process. Thank you.
Okay, just as a reminder about courtesy and professionalism, to remember that as we talk to our students, we really want to help to give you the answers, and we'll do our very, very best, and we're committed to doing that, and we will continue to do that even through our website and through all of our openings and communication. But if we, as you can see, that it would be very, very difficult right now for us to have a two-way dialogue, as you can see. So, okay.
So why are you guys hiding?
Okay.
May I have your attention?
We'll continue, and if we will do our best to continue. If at that point it is not productive, then we'll go ahead and close quietly, and we'll work with you in other means. We do have a board meeting on Monday, and we have open mic ability to sign up at each of our board meetings. We do have one this coming Monday, and all citizens are welcome to sign up for that. But we really do want to continue with you tonight and do our very best to answer these questions. We are committed to doing that.
Thank you, Dr. Whitbeck. I'm Braille James, and I'm the president of the school. I think you've heard Dr. Whitbeck, and if you'd like us to continue, you'll need to listen. We have your questions in writing, and we're prepared to respond to them. We're also prepared to publish the answers on the website. So give us a chance to respond to the questions. We need everybody to be quiet so you all can hear the answers to everyone's questions. So there's a few questions here about the board, so I'm prepared to answer those, and I'll look forward to you listening. The first one is, has the board basically decided to close the academies, and the only real questions are how and when? The answer to that is no, the board has not made a decision. The board heard the same information you heard tonight, last night, for the very first time. We invited the administration to hold dialogue meetings like this, that was part of our plan all along, to get your feedback, to get comments, as you've given tonight, and as we'll be doing surveys on the website. We'll be collecting all of that information and then processing it and using it in our discussions in our meetings as we go forward. Decisions about the academies, based on the recommendation, will be made in December, at the December meeting, which I believe is scheduled on December 15th, and you're all welcome to attend. Is it possible that the board will not approve the recommendations? Yes. What provisions are being made to address the perceived shortcomings or the current system of the academies? The Curriculum and Instruction Department's job is to develop our instructional programs, and that's what they do. They develop the curriculum, they develop the instructional programs. That's what they do in their department. They, along with the Department of School Leadership, work with the campus leaders to host the programs and to implement the programs. So those people work together for program development for all our programs. I heard that some of the Board of Trustees are not for grandfathering current academy kids. Please explain if current academy kids will be able to stay in their respective academies until they graduate. Well, the board hasn't made their decision yet, but the recommendation of the Curriculum Instruction Department is for grandfathering to occur for all kids that are currently in a program in one of these academies that is being recommended for phasing out. So the recommendation is for grandfathering. Tell us more about some board members wanting to send academy students back to their home school now. So that's the opposite of grandfathering. That means the program shuts down at the end of this school year and all the students go back to their home campuses. That's not the recommendation of the Curriculum Instruction Department, because they don't feel, it's, as I understood from last night, that it's in the best interest of students for them to have invested at least a year, maybe multiple years, in a program, and then be removed from that program or from that campus to go back to their home campus. And those are all the questions for me.
Okay, just a few here, and we'll share the task. If the goal is to have curriculum to have curriculum be offered at all schools for high school, then why keep Quail Valley Middle School GT program? The answer to that is that we want to study gifted and talented education next year, and so we recommend no change. We want to open that for enrollment and continue with the children that are already in that as that study is occurring next year. And Quail Valley Middle School, why not allow our currently enrolled 6th graders to complete the program through 8th grade? That would, if following suit, that would be true. For next year, they would continue on in 7th grade just as they would, even if this was not a discussion. I'll go ahead and share. Go ahead, Ms. Caroline, you want to do something?
Okay, my question is, how will you maintain the integrity of the programs 3 years from now for the students that, if the board approves that they are grandfathered? Our curriculum instruction department is committed to ensuring integrity and the fidelity of curriculum instruction for all coursework, especially this. We will stay true to it. We will continue to offer the same courses. We'll provide the same professional development and support for our teachers. We promise you that we will maintain integrity behind these courses.
How will you have quality AP instruction at all campuses? There are not enough teachers, enough of these teachers for each campus. We currently have AP instruction at all campuses. That's not limited to the academies, so that's something that we will continue to offer throughout in our core academic classes, as well as fine arts. There are some AP classes there too. Our AP program is always something that we want to continue to grow, so that will be something that we continue working on in the future. We've got a couple of nuts and bolts questions too. How does a student get enrolled in the CTE program? Coming up in February, January and February, we will be going through course selection with our students, and that will be an opportunity for students to hear more information about the various programs at their campuses, and that would be an opportunity also for them to work on their 4-year plans with regard to high school, and they can begin to enroll in CTE courses at that time. Our pathway class is 1 semester each. That varies by different programs. Some courses are 1 semester, some courses are full year courses. How does a student change his pathway? Is it too risky for a student to choose a pathway in 9th grade? They don't always have the knowledge to choose the pathway. That's very true. We're asking students at a very young age to start making decisions, but the idea is to, even in 8th grade and younger, to start thinking about where their interests lie and look at programs that can help them fulfill their interests. So even though a student may declare their pathway or their interest in the 8th grade and in 9th grade, they do have an opportunity to make a change as long as their schedule will permit them to fulfill whatever pathway they may choose to switch to. So once they choose, they're not locked into that. They have the ability to make decisions to change.
Good evening. One of the questions I have is for students currently in 8th grade in the GT Academy, what will happen to them if they're going to the high school, which they are zoned to? Will they be in a class with the GT students, or they just mix with all the other students? In high school, we serve our GT population through pre-AP and advanced placement, and they are cluster grouped in those classes, so they are still with their like peers and getting that advanced and enrichment through AP. Another question I have is House Bill 5 does not address GT needs. That means Texas legislature original mandate to serve them in schools. Is that true? We are guided by the Texas State Plan for Gifted and Talented for how we provide services to our GT students. So even though that is not specifically addressed in House Bill 5, we still are mandated by law to serve the needs of our gifted students. And again, at Fort Bend ISD, we do that through pre-AP and advanced placement in high school.
I have a couple. The first question is, will transportation be provided for Hightower Academy? Currently, transportation is provided at the satellite campuses of nearby elementary schools. There's a few other stops as well. As far as looking ahead in the future, that's a decision the board will have to make if there is grandfathering. So again, will transportation be provided for Hightower Academy? Currently, it is provided through satellites at local elementary schools. Another question, how do you plan to train so many teachers in such a short time to provide same level special courses on multiple campuses? We've known about House Bill 5 for a few years now, and so we've already been looking at thinking and planning, and this is of course also a phase-in process. This isn't all at once for next year. It's phased in where campuses would share teachers as we grow them, and then we would grow into that model as well.
I'll answer one real quick. Why is Fort Bend ISD recommending phasing out academies when our other school districts, like HISD, are expanding their magnet programs? So the answer to that is there, as I showed on the screen, there are multiple models. Magnet schools, comprehensive high schools, career technology centers, there are multiple models out there. When you think about HISD and you think about that magnet concept, they have like a DeBakey school, they have a high school for performing arts, they have several, but they also have, Bel Air High School. So they have a comprehensive and they have some magnets. What has been one of the commitments in Fort Bend ISD is to the comprehensive high school model, meaning that it is, when you attend our high schools, you have an option to play in the band, to play football, to be in numerous organizations, whereas when you go to a magnet school, you go for that study, and all those other opportunities are not afforded to you because those schools are very small and they're intensive on that particular study. So it's a different model, and there are lots of good models out there. Those are good, those are effective models for some kids. Comprehensive high schools meet the needs of many schools as well, of many students as well. Do freshmen have to attend? Do incoming freshmen attend their zone high school? So if the board were to approve the recommendation, then incoming freshmen would attend their zone high school. Yes. Why didn't you show how many are zoned and how many are outside of the Clements area? The only reason we didn't was that in that particular academy, that was not a deciding factor. I can tell you that there are approximately 34 students attending global studies that are zoned to Clements anyway. They would go there anyway. So that is the number that you would want to know. Roughly, it's 34, 35.
34 out of how many?
Out of 334, it's about 34.
So it's very 300 classes out of zone math. Excuse me.
Okay, more questions?
Excuse me. 300 classes out of the zone.
If you have questions, we invite you to write them on a half sheet of paper. We can stop right now, okay? If you'd like to stop now, we can. We'd like to answer the rest of the people's questions. So if you have a question, please write it on the half sheet of paper. Thank you.
One of the questions is, why not offer complete health science pathways to all or most of the campuses, since it is so highly desired? We are proposing offering a complete pathway of health science at every campus. So we are proposing offering a complete health science pathway at every campus. Thank you.
Okay, this question says, many of the pathways refer to a CTE center. Where will this center be located? How will it be implemented to serve all the campuses? We don't know that yet. I don't think a determination has been made as to where it'll be located. Of course, it would have to be somewhat central, and that's up for study. Okay, the next question says, these pathways appear to be preparing for organized students with minimal level of coursework. What program does organized have to stretch the high achievers, which we seem to have plenty of? How does the district plan to prepare these students to compete nationwide for top colleges and careers? The pathways, if you noticed in the PowerPoint, there are actually 5 endorsement areas. 2 of those endorsement areas of the 5 are strictly CTE, but the other 3 are not. One, the STEM, which can be met through either science or math or combination, technology, can be CTE, but it doesn't have to. Students can take up all the way up through calculus and statistics at all of our high schools right now. Okay, so that would be the answer to that one, that only 2 of the endorsement areas are CTE. Can you simply move an academy or school within a school and switch it over to one of your other high school campus that has less kids or underpopulated school? Yes, we could do that.
Yes, and that is an option that the board of trustees could consider. At this time, though, after looking at that and looking at some past history, that was not our recommendation. But the board of trustees ultimately does have that ability to move it, and even in their policy it states that academies are portable programs. So that is an option that the board of trustees would have, just not the one that we actually recommended at this time.
The question I have is, will all academies for the next 3 years have the same staff and rigor, or will they be diluted? If the board decides to keep the academies and phase out the current students, we will keep the same level of rigor, the same courses. We would hope the same staff. We have no control over if teachers decide to go somewhere, but nothing would change for the existing academies for those students who are currently in 9th, 10th, and 11th grade.
Thank you. There's several questions about this, indicating that my student is a freshman in the Math and Science Academy at Dulles High School. Will the transportation be provided until he graduates from high school? Without bus service, he will not be able to attend this school. The school district has recommended that we maintain the bus service to the school board of trustees, and I know this is under consideration. They are reviewing this request at this time.
Okay, I have one here. Other than the research from Gates Foundation, was there no support cited for deciding academies were effective? There was a complete research done about academies. We have actually a research department here in Fort Bend ISD as part of our accountability department, and that was done, and there is a report that I was given tonight, and for the purpose of the presentation, I just pulled out the main pieces and the pieces that the Gates were a very big, they were a very big benefactor in that movement. But there is a lot of research out there, but to be honest, here's what you find. You find articles rather than for true research. You find articles of this particular school in this particular state or city, and it's very successful. Then you find another type of program, and it's very successful, and those are written up in magazines and local productions. So you can find a lot of different models. There's not one ticket that says, if you do this, it will be perfect. That research is not there. Okay.
I have one. The Board of Trustees has not approved grandfathering all 4 years at existing academies. Could a 9th or 10th grader, for example, stay at Dulles High School as opposed to the school they're zoned at? If the Board of Trustees does not approve grandfathering at the existing academies, then that student would return to their zone high school where they live.
And one, is it realistic to think that all these pathways can be offered at every campus? As we shared with you, the main focus for next year, and especially as we have incoming 9th graders, because remember, students currently in high school would continue having all access to the things that they have now, the courses and the programs. Then incoming 9th, as we phase in the Project Lead the Way, the Arts and AV, all of that, Arts and AV, and our various programs that we mentioned tonight, agriculture at Marshall and Willow Ridge, all these different ones, we would begin those in phase, and then those upper level courses would get added on as the children grew, and we're in need of them.
I have a question. What specific changes will be made to the Medical Academy in Hightower? The changes haven't been determined, but as with all coursework, whether it's academy or not academy, the curriculum department is constantly reviewing it to ensure that we are aligned to the state mandated and TEKS objectives and that we can satisfy graduation requirements, and that there's depth and complexity and rigor and opportunities for differentiated instruction. But as far as any specific program changes there, that's under review and is yet to be determined.
Along those same lines, similar question with changes proposed at the Medical Academy if a student was previously accepted and did not take their spot, could they be reconsidered? Any child can apply to the academies. I think it's important to note that Texas Education Agency reviews courses every now and then. So right now, all of the coursework for career and technical education is under review. So please don't get attached to any name because they're all going to change in 16 and 17. And moving forward, any child would be able to apply if the Board of Trustees decides to keep that academy.
What does Fort Bend ISD intend to do to encourage, compensate, and retain quality teachers at each school with all of these changes? This is particularly from Marshall, Willow Ridge, and Hightower. You know, that is a constant work in progress. Our Board of Trustees approved a 4% pay raise last year, and that was very appealing to recruiting teachers across our district in all of our schools. And as we continue to recruit and to look at best practices, we will continue to do that to try to bring in the very best teachers at each of our schools.
Okay, I have another GT question. Are there any GT programs available in each middle school and high school? And again, the way we serve our gifted students is we cluster group them, we put them with a GT trained teacher, and in secondary we offer pre-AP and advanced placement. Currently, the GT Academy at Quail Valley Middle School is the only middle school academy, and the proposal is to keep it in place until the comprehensive program evaluation can be done next year.
When I'm an 8th grader who wishes to attend Dulles, how we provide higher level classes for me. How we make sure there are enough teachers and students for each class. The first part, how we provide higher level classes for me. All high schools do offer AP courses, and oftentimes dual credit as well. How we make sure there are enough teachers and students for each class. That's going to be working through the dynamics in the course based on student need and student request, like it is every other high school right now in all classes.
Will you make the feedback public? If we oppose the plan, how can we make sure our voices are heard? Several means. We will tabulate everything that we get tonight. We've given you a survey. Again, those will be compiled, and then the websites will be open for you to offer comments as well. All of those comments will be read, taken into consideration, a new committee pulled back together to look at it again, and our Board of Trustees will be getting all of that information as well.
Yeah, take that next one. This one says, will the proposed courses / pathways be available or applicable for students who are currently enrolled in the academies? For example, do they have to take 5 science courses to be eligible for STEM pathway? And that is correct. Let me give you an example. Since you just heard the numbers, at Clemens High School we have about 2,500 students. And let's just say that, how many did you see at the academy? About 300 and something, so, right? So we still have over 2,000 students that have to pick an endorsement. So over 2,000 students would, if they want to do a STEM endorsement, they can do it in math, they can do it in science, they can do it in math or science in any high school. Where we're skimpy is technology. That's the one that we have to beef up. But as far as math and science, they can do STEM anywhere, and they can also do the multidisciplinary. They can basically do the 3 non-CTE pathways at every single school, and I can't speak for the pathways, as well as, this one says, well, this one is talking about putting this to a vote.
And it is a vote of our Board of Trustees, and that is their calling in their role. What was the purpose of the Academy review? What were the findings of the review with regards to its objectives? Our purpose was to examine the current structures that we had in place, knowing the new mandates of House Bill 5, the desire to expand choices and equity for all children, and then to find what is the best structure in which to deliver. That was our objective. Why were teachers never informed or consulted about anything? This is from Quail Valley. Quail Valley, the academy coordinator was involved in a meeting with me, with the coordinators at the high school. I had one separate meeting with just them for about 4 hours. We really talked through a lot of things, and I did invite the middle school coordinator to that, even though, as you recall, we were not studying the middle school GT program specifically. That's next year's review. So that's why we did not go to the teacher level at the middle school.
Yeah, I have a question about the academy coordinators. If you're committed to the existing academies, why did you already eliminate the coordinators? We have not eliminated the academy coordinators. Every academy, the middle school academy, Quail Valley Middle School, and all our high school academies have an academy coordinator. Their jobs are intact, and if we do phase out academies, those coordinators will still be there working hard for the students who are currently in the academy. So we are not eliminating their positions.
I have one. What classes will you be unable to provide due to lack of teachers? That's really hard to predict because every district here in Texas is going to be working through endorsements and seeing what students most want and then finding certifications. So that's really going to be a statewide challenge as districts work through this as the endorsements are phased in.
I'm going to piggyback on that because I think that this is important information for you to understand. Regardless of the discussion tonight, a high school master schedule is very complex. The larger the school, the more complex. When you decide whether you offer a course, it is almost always dependent upon the amount of students who desire that particular course. Then it's the amount of teachers you're given is based upon your enrollment and the course choices of the students. So for example, if you had a highly specialized elective course and only 5 students wanted it, even now in our system, all across our system, even in our largest high schools, we would not necessarily be offering that course. Sometimes even in my past, when I had a large high school, I might offer it, for example, like AP Music Theory, I might offer it every other year because it wasn't cost effective to offer it for only 5 or 6 students. But if you want to think of it from a financially steward angle, each period of the day is around $7,500, $8,000 when you take a teacher's salary into account. So we have to look at those things. But those are really aside from this issue. Those are happening already when your principals are looking at course requests and enrollment. If you take a teacher's salary, where I got that number was if you take a teacher's salary and you divide it by 7 periods of the day, an average teacher salary. Okay, more questions? Yes.
Okay, this is from a student, and it says, I am an 8th grader in biology. Will the higher level science classes be available to me? I am also in algebra and taking geometry this summer. Will you provide those math classes? I am in Spanish 2, I want to take Spanish 5, and I want to take the test to be considered fluent. Okay, let me address these one at a time. This student says she's in algebra in the 8th grade, will take geometry this summer. So in the 9th grade, the student can take algebra 2. In the 10th grade, the student can take pre-calculus. In the 11th grade, the student can take calculus or statistics, and vice versa for the senior year. Okay? As far as biology, under House Bill 5, we have a lot more advanced sciences that will be coming about that are going to be developed so that you get high school credit for. And then Spanish. I would love for you to take Spanish 5. It is a literature course. It is one of the toughest courses. The AP exam is one of the toughest courses, but when kids make a 3 on the exam or higher, UT gives them 18 credit hours because that is how tough that course is. But I would love for you to be very fluent and take Spanish 5. Will it be offered? It depends if it makes. A lot of kids shy away from it because it is a pretty difficult course, but absolutely. What we need to do, again, I want to go back to under House Bill 5. They give districts, and we're just beginning to learn more about this because they haven't given us all the information that we need. It used to be we could only form partnerships with junior colleges. Now they've opened it up a little bit more, and we've got legal looking into it where we can begin to form partnerships with 4-year institutions, and we're looking at that. So that if a course like Spanish 5 did not make at a particular high school, and we had the ability to allow that student to go to a year 5, 4-year institution or bring that institution to us, then that would be in the benefit as well, to benefit all students. Especially when you start getting into mathematics that are beyond calculus BC, like multivariate, etc., where kids really do not get college credit for those courses. They just take them in high school.
Have you considered the capacity of current zone campus academies are dropped? And the answer to that is a lot of the work is connected. The charge of our study was to really focus on structure of academic programming. However, is occurring simultaneously as we are looking at new enrollment figures and as we're looking at potential boundary decisions. And yes, as a matter of fact, last night our Board of Trustees asked for some additional data that they wanted to see in order to be able to look at that type of effect that it would have.
I have one. When will this plan be implemented? If the board accepts our recommendation, this would go into effect for the next school year. I can take another one. How do you ensure that the level of teaching meets the highest standards at all schools? It is our expectation now and forever that we differentiate instruction and would meet the needs of our students, and that we ensure that we deliver the state-mandated TEKS objectives. We provide professional development for our teachers to accomplish this. and we have continuous monitoring and evaluation, redirection, and support. The curriculum department, curriculum and instruction team collaborates with our assistant superintendents and our campus principals. We have active monitoring ongoing daily at all schools. It is absolutely an expectation that we deliver the highest, most rigorous level of curriculum possible.
We have two similar questions that relate to the Medical Science Academy and Health Science courses. And the questions ask, could students be bused to Hightower High School to take medical science courses similar to the way we bus students to the current technical education center? The reason that does not work for our health science classes is because in years 2, 3, and 4, the students do clinical rotations and actually go into the hospitals. With busing them to a different campus, whether it be a tech ed center or Hightower, they lose so much instructional time that they don't have the opportunity to visit the clinical rotations, which is the significant portion of taking those classes. So that's the reason that was not considered.
Why can't you provide the career pathways with academies in place? The answer to that is technically you could. It's just the question is that in the best interest? And that's where if you have the exact same courses that are offered in a school now, do you bus kids to a different location, perhaps even across the entire district, to take the exact same course that's offered in their campus? And that's where the decision making came to play. Okay.
The cost of staffing is always the biggest expense in a school district. Yes, it is. How will all these endorsements realistically be available? High schools right now are able to offer many endorsements already at their campus. It's just that they take effect with the incoming current freshmen. So again, many endorsements are already available to be earned at a high school based on their course offerings. Also, there's a number of pathways within each endorsement, and students can earn more than one endorsement during their time at a high school.
What is the cost of offering an advanced level math science course per year? It's really not that different than offering another course, with the exception of particularly the materials, if it's a lab, things of that nature. And those would be true whether it's a regular biology class or even an AP biology class. The advancement doesn't change the cost that much. You may have some additional materials, but not always a lot. What is the cost of each academy per student? I don't have an exact figure for you. The main cost differential is in the transportation. Last year we were over $2 million, and we revised the plan to create satellite stops at the elementaries. We brought it down to $1.6 million. So right now the district is spending that on transportation for academy students.
Okay, we have a question about offering pathways at Marshall and Willow Ridge, and if it would be proportional. So, in looking at the opportunities for students at these campuses, it is disproportional in consideration for the number of students that are currently there. They do not have the same enrollment as many of our other campuses, which is why we are not preparing or recommending that we offer 25 pathways. So it would be unlikely that we could offer every pathway. However, currently at Marshall and Willow Ridge, they have a significantly reduced number of opportunities to experience career pathways across the board. So in the recommendation moving forward, we would like to offer those students the same opportunities as best we can, considering the numbers of the students.
I have one. If a class has only 5 students wanting to take that course at the school, but over 20 spread throughout the district, how can you provide said class? Well, as Dr. Wibbeck mentioned earlier, sometimes those classes are not offered because of low enrollment, but at the same time, we'd like to increase the distance learning where we can still offer it across the district, even though it may be small enrollment in a school, but it's a large number across the entire 4B district.
May I ask a question regarding that response? If a student is not able to take an advanced course and that is their interest, will they then be allowed to go to a different school that is able to teach those advanced courses because those classes may?
Okay, right now, that is occurring in our district. Your example that you just...
Talking about what
Right, but what I want to explain to you is regardless of this particular recommendation. That's already happening all over the place. What we're trying to do is reduce that. We will look at alternate means in order to meet their needs. That's our goal. Our goal is that the student would be able to be offered it, but will they be granted, and this goes with this question, will they be granted like a transfer so that I can now become a member of this school because I want to take this class? Currently, we do not have that process in place, and that would not be our recommendation. We would be transporting kids all over for a course, and then it doesn't make, the teacher moves. I mean, it gets very, very confusing. Okay? All right, next. Any more? And that's the same one. Do you have any more, Ms. James?
I have a couple more here. I'm asking about the Board of Trustees and their decision-making. So one is asking, I heard that, well, it's talking about the immediate elimination of academies and what would happen to sophomores. I assume that means rising sophomore students that are freshmen now. Could they stay at the school? Well, that's the grandfathering question, and that has yet to be decided. But this person makes a good point that they're involved in sports and extracurriculars, and they have their friends at these schools. And that's absolutely right, and we recognize that. And the Curriculum Instruction Department has recommended that we do grandfathering for all students that are currently enrolled in the academy because they think that that's in the best interest. So the board has yet to decide that, but that's the recommendation. The other question here is what is the recommendation is to keep the academies open to keep all academies open to current students. So that's correct. In other words, they would stay in their academy and finish their high school career there. What is the likelihood that freshmen and sophomores will be able to complete their academy experiences? Well, if the recommendation goes through as suggested, then they would absolutely be able to finish their academy experiences. And so that's part of the grandfathering thing, right? If they would finish their entire program.
Can I ask you a question about the voting? When you vote on December 15th, will the Board of Trustees vote on the package, or will you vote on?
That's a great question, because that's exactly the question I asked last night at the board meeting. I'm like, what are we voting on? So, the question is, we will be voting on the academy proposal as it's been suggested. We are not voting on the pathways and their setup and those charts that you see all in the back of the room. That's a recommendation that will be implemented through the Curriculum Instruction Department. We'll be voting on funding for that. We'll be voting on staffing for that and those parts of it. But in terms of what courses, we will not be voting on that. We will be voting on academies and grandfathering. In other words, academy phase-outs. The recommendation as it stands right now, the GT Academy continuing, the Medical Academy continuing, and the other academies being phased out, with the grandfathering being phased out over a 3-year period. That's as it's currently written, as I understand it.
All right. As it appears now, we think that we have gotten to the questions. Some of them are embedded, and it's a little confusing. It appears that they are, many of them are the same type of question. We will post these. We will review all of these tomorrow, make sure that we hit on every single one of them. We will also remain, if you wish to speak to any of us or share your thoughts or comments, we'll be glad to stay and to do that, to visit with you. I know that it's been highly emotional for many of you, but we do appreciate you being here and being a part of our process and for listening. And we will also post the presentation online by Friday is when we open up the website as well. Okay? Thank you. Have a good evening. Drive safely.